Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Vivian and today's video is going to be a detailed walkthrough of my 3-day workout split. I'll share some form tips and variations of some exercises as well as how to structure your own session. There are several ways you can structure your 3-day split depending on your fitness goals. Some people prefer the classic push-pull leg split, which targets specifically muscle groups on each day. Others go for an upper-lower body split or a full body routine. The most important thing is choosing the split that fits your needs and makes you feel strong, confident, and motivated to stick to it. I like to start my week with a glutes workout. This is because most people at my gym tend to train upper body on Mondays, so I can get through my glute session quickly without having to wait on equipment or rejigging my session. I can't lie, that's one of my pet peeves in the gym. If you know what I mean, give this video a like. I always get asked how I structure my glute sessions, and with so many videos out there about the best exercises and the best routines, it's difficult sometimes to figure out which ones is the best and which one should I pick depending on my personal goals. And if I'm honest, I design my session around 4 key movement patterns. They are the thrust, hinge, squat, and abduction. I start my sessions with hip thrust. This is the first movement pattern. I find these take the most energy, so I choose to put them first while I'm still fresh and I can push myself the most. You can do any hip thrust variation for the movement. It can be cast glute bridges, B-stance hip thrust, or even single leg hip thrust with dumbbells. It's all dependent on your goals and where you are in your fitness journey. But if you were to ask me as a beginner, which should I do out of all those variations, I'd always recommend you do the standard hip thrust either with a bar or a machine, depending what facilities you have with you. And of course, you can also do this with body weight to get used to the form. My next movement will be a hinge movement pattern. So I like to do glute bias RDLs, but you can substitute this with good mornings, hyperextensions, sumo deadlifts, and so on. What makes these RDLs glute bias is the bend in the knees. It's slightly greater than if you were to do a straight leg deadlift. That would be targeting the hamstrings. If you want me to show variations of this, just leave a comment down below and I can figure out how to make variations so you understand which muscles are being targeted. When you're doing this, you want to tuck your chin in to maintain a neutral spine. You'll then bend your knees and begin brushing the bar down your leg while pushing your bum back. The bar should stop just below your knees or the middle of your shins. If you go further, you start to experience lower back pain. You can try these with light dumbbells or just the bar alone to get used to the motion before adding weights. And next up is the dreaded Bulgarian split squats. These are perfect if you have any muscle imbalances. I choose a lighter weight when it comes to this because I know what's good for me, and I go for higher reps when I perform them. You can use a bench to elevate your back foot if your gym doesn't have this attachment. These fall into our squat movement, and if you're better than me and don't want to do something you hate, I'd swap this out for step-ups, reverse lunges, or leg press. But me, I like to torture myself because apparently I enjoy the feeling of accomplishing something that makes me question my own sanity. Don't come for me, it's just the way I am. And finally, we have hip abductions to target our outer glutes. I still don't know if I like this machine. It's new, so I've been forcing myself to use it in the gym, but every now and then I will just use the standard seated machine or resistant bands if you're a beginner. The goal is to keep the tension in your glutes throughout the movement. Keep the range of motion controlled and don't let your knees snap back in. So the structure is great because we're starting with the heaviest and most demanding moves like hip thrusts and finishing with more isolated exercises. And with that, let's get on to day 2, which is our upper body session. I have been loving upper body days so much recently, and mainly I train and focus on my back. I do not have a desire to grow my chest or anything else. It's just training my back to give off that illusion of a snatched waist. So we're gonna jump in after a warm-up with some barbell rows. Now, as I mentioned, I don't like to rejig my session, which I had to this day, so that's why I look a bit funny or pissed off. So excuse the face, but I like to start with barbell rows, and you can do the inverted or the underhand grip. I think I've said it the right way around. So the one I'm doing currently is going to be targeting my upper back, whereas if you have the hand placement on the inside, you'll be targeting more of the lats. So I like to do 3 sets of 8 to 10 of those, and then I move on to my lat pull downs. I am trying to get my pull-ups back again, so these are quite good to get that movement of, like, imagine you're pulling the bar down and engaging those lats. It's always important to engage your breathing, engage your focus, and not rush through the movement. As you can see, towards the end, I was slowly starting to tire and I was losing my form a little bit. So in the next set, I made sure to drop down the weight. Now, if you have any questions regarding lat pull downs and anything of that sort, just remember to take a deep breath before you start. Roll your shoulders back and then a slight lean back when you're bringing the bar down. Now, similar to my leg day or glute session, I always have an isolation movement, so working one leg or one arm at a time, because it doesn't matter whether it's upper body or lower day, you will have some sort of muscle imbalance. So I like to do this single cable rows. You can do them lower. I just prefer to do the high one, and again, it's just focusing on my form and engaging my lats. I've added the bench for more stability. I used to do it without the bench, but I always struggled with my balance and stuff like that. So if you are in somewhere along those lines, try adding a bench or something to stabilize yourself. And then we're gonna finish off with an isolation to get our rear delts with cable face pulls. Again, you can do those seated, not laying down, sorry. You can do this seated or even just kneeling. I used to do them kneeling, but then I just chose to stand because, well, who am I kneeling for? I like to finish off my upper body days with a little bit of core. I don't think I filmed it on this day, but I might just insert a clip of a little bit of a core session I've added recently. And to finish off the week, I like to do a HIIT circuit that's around 45 minutes. I just remembered, I haven't really said how many days. I go to the gym obviously 3 days a week, but to allow myself enough rest in between, I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes that might change around and have 2 days next to each other, but I like to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then have the weekend off. So I tend to start off with some skipping just to get my heart rate up before I jump into 10 to 12 burpees. Yeah, I used to do them all the way to the ground, and if you are fitter and feel up for the challenge, go all the way down and jump back up. But after you do 3 rounds of this, your legs will be shaking. But it is a good exercise to engage your core and basically your whole body. Yep, girl's dead. She is dying. I was regretting that. But they are good for those sessions that you want a quick pump and be out quickly. Next up, I've got gorilla rows. This is to target my back again, mainly lats in this position. From this form, I should have my bum a bit lower down, but I sometimes do feel my lower back hurting. So I will just do kettlebell rows to just target my back. So that's another variation that you can do. If your kettlebells are small like this and require you to bend more, I'd say do barbell rows with a lighter weight. But yeah, with all of these exercises on my HIIT day is more reps and less weight. So I'm not lifting heavy, it's more endurance training when I do these. And these are the kettlebell rows that I was mentioning earlier. So I like to do 3 rounds of these between 12 to 15 and before I move on to my next exercise. After a quick drinky drink, we gonna move on. And also, what playlist do you guys listen to? Because I find that music is the most important part of my workout. Now, when performing this, I want you to imagine a bend and snap action. Now, some of you might be thinking of Elle Woods' Bend and Snap from Legally Blonde, but with this one, it's more of a hinge back and then using your hips to snap forward, and it's an up down as opposed to like sitting down like a squat movement. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but if you can see from my form, that's what we're trying to go for. That is where it's going to target your glutes and your core is going to be on fire. Again, we have seen Bulgarian split squats come and they've come again. These are good also for targeting your glutes, targeting your quads, depending how you do it. In this position where I'm kind of going in an escalator way, I'm targeting my glutes. Whereas if I was more upright and going up down, I'll be targeting my quads. So that's another form tip. And again, you can do them by body weight or just reverse lunge. It is humbling regardless of which way you go with it. And finally, I have been working on my pull-ups for the past couple weeks. I have set myself a challenge of trying to get 25 pull-ups before my 25th birthday, which is going to be in November. So please pray for me. At the moment, I have been managing 5 pull-ups and then having to do some assisted ones on top. So for this particular exercise, I like to do 5 unassisted, and then after that I do negatives for the next round, or then I add a resistant band. But that is basically my 3-day workout split and how I structure it depending on the goals that I'm going for. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like in the comment section below. If you have any questions, just drop them down and I'll do my best to answer them all. But I hope you have enjoyed this week's video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Enjoy your week. Goodbye.